Hariom Tatsat. Welcome everyone back to my channel. My name is Bodhi, and you clicked on the video and you know the topic. I'm going to be talking about the appropriation of yoga. Today is part of my spiritual tea talks. God, I really loathe the word spirituality and stuff like that just because of how trendy and blah 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 it is online, but I just thought I don't know, because most of my talks are about actually deepening understanding of what it means to even be on a spiritual path, what a spiritual journey can look like, going inward, which is the main goal, to get true self-realization. I will say that a million times over because there is a goal. There is a goal of being on a spiritual journey, and it's not just trying to be your highest self, but not in the online trying egotistical highest self, because that is just still the conditioned self and whatever. Anyways, I'm going to get into it. I've got my cup of homemade, all tea is homemade, but I grow herbs in a little trough. I have a mini tea herbal garden, and I made lavender, rosemary, basil, and mint and lemon balm. And it's just, not boiled it, but let it steep in a pot of already boiled, so really hot water for 15-20 minutes, and it's so refreshing. It's like the mint makes it summer refreshing, and then the lemon balm, lavender, basil, and rosemary makes it very calming and just nice and easeful. So, yes, I'm gonna try my best to not make this a really long video because there are a lot of ways to go about this topic, but I'm just going to kind of generalize this, because the yoga and then talking about how New Age spirituality is basically repackaged Hinduism is another thing. But, yoga is, the root origins is in Hinduism in India, the East, but I just have different points for different, whatever, you guys get it. So, I'm just going to explain how the West has basically appropriated the culture of yoga, and the culture origins being from the East, and what we did here in the West was basically strip yoga of its spiritual roots and made it all about the physical body, getting toned, fit, and flexible, versus actually using the tools to go inward and guide ourselves down the spiritual journey to true self-realization. And that is just a summary of it. Yoga is more than just the physical poses. It's not what you see. It's not just what you see on social media. People, predominantly white women, doing fancy yoga poses and intimidating other people who are curious about yoga from actually getting into yoga, because everyone thinks you have to be in shape and flexible. The most worn out response for people not doing yoga or starting is because, I'm not flexible, I'm not in good shape. Y'all, I got pudge, I am thick, and no, I'm not the thickest person in the world, but you know what I'm saying. It is for everyone and for all body types, and you don't even have to, not all yogis, practitioners and teachers even practice the physical poses regularly. Most people, or a lot of people I have seen, have an emphasis on meditation and pranayama and breath work, and maybe even yoga nidra too. And that is just, it's different from what you see online, and that's part of why I actually don't post yoga poses on Instagram. So many people, it's already flooded. If you type in hashtag yoga on Instagram, it's just people in headstands and doing hard poses, but not actually representing the true nature of yoga. And there is a goal of yoga too, of being a yogi and going down this path to samadhi, which is used as the last stage, or the last limb in Ashtanga yoga, also known as the 8 limbs of yoga. And the goal of yoga is essentially to reach a point of true self-realization and that is getting through the modifications of the mind stuff, which is like layers of ego conditioning and this and that. You don't see any of that online. No one ever talks about it unless they're benefiting off your not knowing and make you pay like thousands of dollars for a course to understand this one basic fact that the goal of yoga is to eventually reach true self-realization, and it's used as a tool. And yoga isn't just the physical postures. And I have 2 videos of talking about the sutras, and then another video going in depth about the 8 limbs of yoga, and I also have another video about the branches of yoga, because again, yoga is beyond, there is yoga beyond physical practice, and but we don't know that. And you don't know what you don't know until you know, because that's how I was too. Like, I'm not trying to call out anyone. I used to be like this, have just a physical yoga practice, trying to hit a headstand and trying to do harder poses so I can take a picture of it and post it on Instagram, and it just doesn't do yoga any justice. The ancient teachings and wisdom that's been passed down through lineages and thousands of years through the East that the West just completely took and stripped of. And, I'm just trying to bring back the spirituality in yoga. There is another person that I do reference, I get a lot of inspiration from on Instagram, which I currently have the app deleted because I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram, but her name is I think it's Susanna Barkataki, and she has a book called Embrace Yoga's Roots, and she goes deep into decolonizing yoga and the colonizations of yoga, and even to mention kind of like white supremacy in yoga, because when you look at yoga online and in studios, it's dominantly white faces, which is why I just feel like it's so important to get more BIPOC people into yoga as well. I'm actually monitoring through Integral Yoga a BIPOC yoga teacher training. It's so powerful to really see just like all the different melanated faces, instead of just like, again, it's not to create any separation, it's really to just add more diversity into yoga. There's not a lot of diversity in yoga online, and it's like ironic because yoga is Eastern, like origins in India. But I digress. You guys get the point. We've just basically, the West has stripped yoga of its spiritual roots, and to learn more and educate yourselves on this and how to decolonize it in your own practice, and if you're a yoga teacher, in your own teachings and stuff like that, I recommend following Susanna Barkataki on Instagram. And there's another page, I think it's Shanti Within on Instagram, because they have a lot of posts that are very educational and informational. It's the same thing, kind of, I guess. But they just open your eyes to how truly deep yoga goes versus how it's treated in the West. And I'm just summarizing this because I could go on for hours talking about how that yoga has been culturally appropriated here in the West, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. And that the goal of my channel is actually to like really clarify and open up and spark that curiosity to want to do more personal research and study. If you do practice yoga or wanting to get into yoga, like spiritual texts like Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the Vedas, like they all mention yoga and its different forms and practices. And there's other books that I feel like if you get them through accredited people, not just like whitewash self-help books, like actually skip the middleman, just go straight to the source for information on yoga, you will already be on like a more solid path to understanding the foundation of yoga as a spiritual journey to take you to the deeper levels of your soul within and understanding and how to connect to consciousness, Shiva, Krishna, God, whatever. Truth is one, paths are many, quote by Swami Satchidananda, because he integral yoga, also practiced interfaith and universalism. But yeah, I wasn't like, and there are other people who can go way more in depth on this topic too, but I just wanted to literally point out the blatant differences about yoga in the West and yoga in the East, how the West has appropriated this practice, and that there's just so much more to yoga than the physical poses. Like I even see people that post things like, oh, I'm sorry, I keep posting the same yoga pose, I just don't know what else to do. And I'm like, why does it matter? Why do you need to take a picture of your yoga like yoga isn't an aesthetic. It's not meant to be like seen as just an image, a personality that brings yoga, this deeply spiritual ancient practice, to an egotistical level. So this was my little tea talk on the topic that is a very broad topic, but I just summarized it to this one point of yoga in the East versus the West. I'll say it one more time. Sip of my refreshing tea. And yeah, I hope this sparks some curiosity, to go deeper into yoga than just what you see online. For a long time too, as a person of color, I feel like it just was like, I not used to think that yoga was just for white people, but it gave off the impression that it's like, I wanted to be a yoga teacher because literally my Instagram was just a bunch of white yoga teachers. And I've since then have found I found women of color, people of color in the yoga community or whatever. But beforehand, when I was literally like first on Instagram, honestly, and I was just like, I guess I don't know how to explain the feeling. Just no representation, I guess. And it was just like, I don't know, I'm gonna end this video. I hope you got something from this video. I hope it brought a deeper understanding and awareness, and go do some research, guys. It's not hard. A lot of this information readily available and free, but also tune into my channel, and I'm going to talk about the in-depth foundations of yoga that, again, is information you can find in books, and just searching it on YouTube, actually. Stuff that I never was things I know now, I've reached a level of why didn't I learn this sooner? What? It's because no one talks about more than just physical posture or how to hit a headstand, So, yeah. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up, leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts. I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you enjoyed this spiritual tea talk. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.